Negative. I'm back with a review of. I don't really want to talk about it much because I really don't. I really seem to be the odd one out with this one. The new Doctor Who episode, 73 Yards, which is written by Russell T Davies and directed by Dylan Holmes Williams. I'll start with the basic plot. The Doctor and Ruby wind up in a cliffside in Wales, and they decide to go for a walk. And the Doctor accidentally steps on a fairy circle or a dream catcher or wherever you want to call it. And the Doctor disappears. Tellingly, this was actually the first episode of the production cycle. I assume Shooty Gatwa had other commitments. And so what happens is Ruby keeps seeing this woman who's appearing 73 yards away, 63 meters, 67 meters. No matter where she's standing, the woman's just there. And if other people see her, they go up to the woman and flee in terror after talking to the woman. So basically, the entire episode is about this, about Ruby trying to get away from the woman, and the woman basically ruining Ruby's life and completely isolating her from everyone. Carla Sunday talks to the woman and disowns Ruby. Unit shows up, and to help Ruby, they approach the woman and run away. And then basically the episode is a showcase for Millie Gibson's talent as an actress, because she spends the entire episode being miserable and alone. She can't maintain a relationship because of the woman. I mean, something happens later in the episode, which is kind of, Ruby finds a way to use the old woman to to accomplish something, but it's more kind of boring, toothless political satire that didn't really. It's just an obvious, oh, this guy's an obvious bad guy because the Doctor said he would be in a certain years. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's just something about this episode that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm not. Well, first of all, it is incredibly easy to figure out, in my opinion, who the old woman is and what she's trying to do. I noticed, Davies is trying to do a pivot towards the show becoming less science fiction and more pure fantasy. He said that multiple times. He's warned us. And yet with this episode, it was like, okay, that's just an excuse. Because there's one point, Kate Rich Stewart says to Ruby Sunday, we're noticing there's a lot more magical activity. And it's not like Davies has ever been a rigid, he's always been a feelings over facts guy. He's always been not one of the most rigid plotters. But the more this went on, the more I was just like, why am I watching Ruby suffer like this? I mean, it's just basically a story about suffering and isolation until the story just decides the suffering has to end because we've filled it for 45 minutes. It's a Twilight Zone. It's a half-hour Twilight Zone episode, doubled in length. And it just left me really cold. And, it's not that I shouldn't have before I watched this video, but I watched a lot of videos and had discussions about it. Like, well, it's about isolation. It's about misery, about how some people, and yes, Ruby is a foundling. She feels isolated and alone all the time, but that's not all a person is. I don't like the way pop culture is fetishizing loneliness and sadness and isolation as a 24/7 state. I mean, the world is really shitty right now, but it seems like everyone's kind of wallowing in it. And I'm not sure that's healthy. And I don't think that was Davies' intent, but he sure was kind of putting on the trowel. I mean, there's a lot to like about this episode. It's well staged. I mean, it's Ruby's son, Millie Gibson, does a wonderful job carrying it, but it kind of drove home how, like, Ruby Sunday as a character isn't really much different than, she's essentially one note. And just how Clara was pretty much one note once they resolved, even after they resolved the mystery. But, like, it's not that I dislike Ruby Sunday. It's just that I don't know anything about Ruby Sunday that the other 4 episodes I've watched prior to this told me. She's alone and sad. I don't see how this, like, really deepens her character, because I will give you one spoiler. By the end of the episode, none of it actually happened. Like, that's another thing. Once you realize what's going on, you're just like, wait a minute. This is obviously going to lead to a reset button push, which it does. We never, and like the more, and the why this entity is doing this, why it's so powerful, that's not addressed, that's not thought about, that's not mentioned. It's just it just it just is what it is. I mean, early on there's some great bits where we're trying to figure out what's going on, but once you do understand what's happening, it just becomes like, okay, we'll just say it, tell us what it is. And and again, this entity or whatever is powerful enough to completely erase the Doctor from existence. Yet it takes Ruby so long to figure out what is actually going on. I don't know. I just felt like I was just watching somebody suffer for the sheer love of it, and I didn't like it. Anyway, minority opinion, I know. Hit the bell for notifications, like and subscribe. Hopefully next week's episode, which I believe will not be by Davies, will be much better. And what the hell, I keep telling you people, I'm a Moffat head. Talk to you later.